Good morning and good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to another Stranded live stream. Um, Today, we are going to talk about the rescued concept. And if you're here, you probably know what it's all about. And you know that half an hour ago, we released a few stragglers that we hadn't QC'd on Friday. Um, that second batch is all gone already in the US. We have a few more in the EU, and it looks like we haven't done the exact detective work, but it looks like there's about a handful, five or six, that were split up into separate shipment. So there'll be a couple more coming, and we'll be sure to let you know through newsletters and Facebook, etc., when they do arrive. But basically, it's hard to communicate to say when they're gone, and then kind of gone, but we get a few more. But that's purely from a logistics perspective. So when we have received these last few ones, uh, this particular run, the rescued coral pink will indeed be gone. Um, so I guess we got that thing out of the way. We should uh, talk a little bit about how this concept was born, and the main purpose of this live stream is for me to answer your questions. So please go ahead, type your questions away in the comment section on Facebook or YouTube, whichever one you're watching on, and we will take your questions after this brief intro. Um, but basically, as you know, most of our guitars have either a natural or transparent see-through finish. So basically, when working with wood, there are a lot of imperfections buried inside the wood. So we don't see these until we cut the perimeter of the body. So we will have done a lot of processing of the wood, the way that we build our guitars, the chambered ones in particular. We glue the top together, two parts, flip that over. We do a lot of milling from the rear of the top, and then we take the body wood as more or less square pieces. We mill out the cavities from the top. Then we glue this together. So it's like building two guitars, gluing them together, and then we cut the perimeter. So we make a third guitar out of these two guitars that we just glued together. And when we do this, we expose what will become the side of the guitar for the first time. And here is where we can expose various defects, knots, or other imperfections in the wood that could not be anticipated before or even during the selection of the wood. I mean, we obviously try to take care when choosing the wood materials that go into the guitar. So at the point where we discover this, the guitar will have received a lot of attention and had a lot of work done to it already. So we obviously don't want to throw it away. So we've been piling them up and considering what to do. And eventually, obviously, this was a few months ago, we came up with this rescued concept, which we thought, if you get lemons, make lemonade kind of thing. So instead of just inventing solid colors for our existing models, which I mean, look, if you look back at our product portfolio, you know that we have done in the past. We thought this would be more fun to make some distinct models out of this and make it into a concept, and also make it a little more accessible, more affordable, They're not necessarily cheaper to make, but at least the alternative would have been to scrap them. So um, it's a win-win, I think. Um, and yes, this was the first run. We called Coral Pink. I will not tell you today what these um, what will come in the future, but yes, we do have more planned. And I will also invite you to, we'll have some kind of poll coming up in the coming days. We have yet to figure this out, but we'll have some kind of poll for a future rescued color, which should be fun. Um, More than I was a little bit nervous, and a few more together with me about doing a pink guitar, but we thought the time was right, and I think so did you. It was very successful. Um, but yeah, with that, we have Isaac standing by moderating comments, and shoot your questions. And yeah, let's see what you want to know. Isaac, do we have any questions already?
Yes, we do. Some of these are pretty similar, so I'll try to pick the ones that cover as many topics as possible. But question from Daniel: can you keep coral pink? It's a wonderful color. Plus, it would be cool to know if you are buying a rescued with a cavity for a battery in its body.
Um, can we keep coral pink? Who knows? Maybe it'll resurface. But I mean that right now it's this is kind of a limited edition guitar, so it would be unfair to those that bought it as such to launch this exact same thing again. But yeah, who knows? We also thought it was beautiful. That's why we started using it. But for this, uh, as far as rescued coral pink, um, is it? Who knows what the future holds? But we will probably stay away from it for a while for this reason. Um, and yes, if you do buy a body that was originally destined for an active pickup, would have had the battery cavity cut already. So if you buy a guitar that was intended to be like an original 7 or original 8, that should have had Fishman pickups and battery compartment, then the rescued model will come with the battery box but empty. So if you wanted to like upgrade the pickups from passive to active, you could do so, and the battery compartment would be there already.
Awesome. Will they ever be a neck through? Or will there ever be a neck through? We've seen this question quite a bit.
Yeah, there could be. We're not at the moment. Um, the production of most neck through models is kind of on pause because we want to, when we resume it, we want to coincide with the incorporation of some other guitar features, and um, basically time it with some other things. So at the moment, there is no reject pile of neck throughs. Um, but if there ever is, neck throughs could also become rescued for sure. But at the moment, we don't have any plans, but it could definitely happen in the future. Yeah.
Are there plans to offer unique specs such as different configurations or weird woods?
Well, as far as rescued goes, I mean, the answer would be no, because the we're literally rescuing what was already made, so there won't be like weird woods from that perspective. I guess, I mean, we do build new necks for these, so it's a distinct material combination of whatever wood was in the body, and then the maple and reed neck that we had in this coral pink run. So yes, in theory, we could build new necks with other material combinations and bolt onto a future run of rescued. Um, so not entirely impossible, I guess. But at the same time, at least for now, the like a side effect or one of the objectives of rescued was to keep the cost down as well, to not do anything very elaborate. So I would imagine that we also try to keep that in mind for future runs.
Sort of a follow up to that last question from Sam. I think it was more along the lines of just using rescued as a way to let them have fun with the salvage bodies, to do like one-offs like the Gibson mod shop.
Yeah, the thought has occurred to us, although the Gibson custom shop is different from the PT Court factory environment. But this is one of those wouldn't it be nice thoughts. And maybe we'll come up with a solution for it.
Any chance we will get a Salin rescued model?
Yeah, that could probably happen. I'm looking at a frozen version of me. Is that what's going out on the live stream as well?
You do look frozen, yes. Although you're very happy about it.
And audio is okay?
Audio is still good. Yep. Questions are still
Okay.
popping up.
All right, good
Hopefully
stuff.
we'll
Well,
unfreeze.
you'll have to look at a happy version of me.
This is from that snowstorm that you were just escaping. You're frozen.
Yeah.
Question from Brett. Are there any new artists getting signature models? Perhaps Simon from Beyond Creation? Possibly an Isaac signature?
We do have a few discussions in the pipeline, but it's too early to say anything at the moment. But I should also say, if you have suggestions and introductions, and you know the person in question, feel free to make the introductions. And I think for us as a brand, we're always interested, and it will be Isaac fielding those questions. So, but feel free to make those recommendations and introductions.
How many runs of the rescued might happen in a year? We've seen a few of these questions about when we can expect the next release.
Yeah, that's part of the charm, I guess. We don't know. Obviously, as few as possible from a production perspective, because this is fallout from quality control during production, and we aim to keep the fallout and the rejects to zero, or at least the minimum. It's very hard to reach zero. So we have continuous quality assurance throughout the process. So whenever one step is completed before it moves to the next step, there's quality control. And we try to design for a minimum waste and minimum fallout. And then towards the end, obviously, we try to minimize out of spec products. So if everything is perfect, from purchasing to building or milling to finishing to assembly, then there will be no rescued because the concept won't exist. But for now, yes, we do have fallout from production that becomes rescued guitars. But we obviously can't predict the exact quantities. We let them pile up until there's enough to do a run.
When do you expect to ship the first run of the rescued models?
They're shipping already. They started shipping out today. So yeah, you shouldn't have to wait very long.
Have you considered making extra necks and or NX hardware available for sale?
No. Definitely not next. We have the hardware is pretty straightforward to swap out, and the, you can't really mess that up. But the neck is such an integral part of the guitar and such a critical component. So we would not sell it per se. I will say, since I mean, I didn't really mention this in the intro, but obviously this is part of the sustainability. Um, I won't say initiative because we've always aimed to be sustainable and designed and all our practices we do, we try to be sustainable. But I will say we're increasing the focus on this, and we're also looking into some more initiatives around circular economy, and this would fit very well into that notion of giving an instrument a longer lease of life and be able to upgrade, update, etc., rather than replace or sell. So I would say keep keep posted. Is that the phrase in English? Um, we will keep you posted.
There you go.
But
Nice.
yeah, what happens? I get so frustrated by looking at myself frozen. So let me try and change camera here. See if that improves things.
Sounds good. You can always exit out and then rejoin, which I think would also reset the camera, hopefully.
Right. That just made it black.
Yes.
Okay. I'll hang up and come right back,
Sounds good.
I think.
If I had my guitar hooked up, you would be hearing some beautiful background music right now. Oh, here comes Ola.
Okay,
All right. You
I'm
have
back
returned.
and I'm moving.
Awesome.
Okay, cool. Next question.
Alrighty. Would you ever do a rescued naked version without a finish that owners could DIY, like do their own dip or stain finish?
Actually, this we've kind of considered this, um, but it didn't quite happen. So before we call it rescued, I had an idea called canvas, which was kind of this. Um, so yeah, I think we kind of we tossed this idea around internally, and I think we ended up with um, thinking that there wouldn't be enough people actually interested in doing this. But yeah, who knows? I think it would be fun and could be really cool. So yeah, in our upcoming poll, one way or another, for a upcoming color, throw this into the mix and let's see if it flies.
Will there ever be refurbished rescued?
I think these models are they are kind of what we used to call refurbs already. So I think no, rescued is like uh, um, a refurb already. Um, so probably not, unless there's something really drastic that happened to it that would further like warrant a further discount. But um, my off the cuff response would be no.
Any plans on bringing roasted maple necks back to the product line?
Um, there could be. We're deep in planning of upcoming um, product revisions. I won't say too much, but uh, I will say that maybe they will be brought back. We, as background, I I will say again, we discontinued using we stopped using roasted maple for the same reason that we're doing the rescued. There was too much fallout in production because, as I'm sure you can understand, roasting the wood is essentially heating it up to a high temperature under an inert gas so it doesn't burn. But basically, you're drying it out and you're removing a lot of the agents that kind of make the wood solid and it becomes more brittle. So in milling, it's much easier to get tear outs that are difficult to repair, or at least we can't repair them in a way that people don't blow up on Facebook and say that we have poor QC. Um, so for that reason, to eliminate scrapping wood for a pretty small marginal gain, to be honest, um, we stopped using roasted maple. Since then, our machine park, we're in a new factory with higher spec machines. So there are ways to kind of work around this and um, eliminate this problem of scrapping due to tear outs. Or if not eliminate, at least minimize quite a bit. So because of that, um, we might be bringing it back, or at least we have the option to. So yeah, we'll see. Time will tell.
Will you continue to sell refurb guitars alongside Rescued?
Yes, I think that's inevitable. So uh, the rescued guitars, they basically come up from wood or material defects that surface during production. So the guitars that we've called refurbs, I think the bulk of them, I think we actually changed the terminology now to B stock. And the reason is usually from handling during the process, so handling of a finished guitar. So it's a different category of different category of defect, if you will. So yeah, they'll both exist.
Any pearlescent/metallics coming to Rescued, or only matte solid colors?
Um, we don't know. We haven't planned that far. So yeah, again, in our upcoming poll, throw it in there, and we'll see what happens. I think, I mean, take the chance to do something, which we did. I think we kind of took something outside of the norm, um, since it's kind of a limited edition thing. It's a limited quantity, so it was an opportunity to. I don't know if pink is go crazy, but let's call it go crazy. So I think future rounds could be an opportunity to do something outside the box. Um, but yeah, we'll see.
Any plans for compound radius fretboards or Richlight in different colors?
Um, Compound radius, uh, probably not, because on a 20-inch radius, there's literally no point. Having said that, on our TT models, there is a compound radius. But generally speaking, it's something that's very rarely uh, raised as a need by players. The 20-inch radius that we use is just very widely accepted as working really well. So I doubt if we want to like push the envelope and do new things, I don't think we'll chase fretboard radiuses. Um, Rich light in different colors. In theory, yes, it's a little bit appealing, um, but on the other hand, I like using different materials for their properties in terms of playability and sound. And Rich light has a very distinct feeling. The resonance and the way that the neck vibrates is entirely different. So that kind of speaks for offering rich light in different colors. So I have necks that behave the same but look different from a cosmetic perspective. But I also want to offer different performance. So I would rather have another black material because black fretboards are beautiful. So I would rather have like rich light as one black option and then an other alternative to ebony as another version. That would be a higher priority. Um, but yeah, who knows what the future will hold. Currently, no plans.
Any big product line announcements coming at NAMM?
Uh, yeah, a big, no, not a big product line, maybe, but yeah, we have some cool things to show at NAMM and unveil to the world. So previously unseen. Uh, it'll be fun, I think. I hope.
Are the MFB pickups gone for good?
Um, you know, it is very sad, but Michael Frank passed away recently, and that is the reason for having to move away from MFB pickups. Um, because he was literally he hasn't always been a one man operation, but at the moment, or the recently, it has been a one man operation, and he just relocated. Everything was fine, and he was in an accident and was very sadly killed in this accident. So yes, they are gone for good. It's one of the risks from dealing with small um, companies, but it's a risk that sometimes you just have to be willing to take. We can't always go with safe choices, but this actually caused a considerable mess in our product portfolio, and soon you will start seeing models that had MFB pickups before will be relaunched with SAR alternatives. Still awesome guitars, but yeah, the MFB pickup models are going away, like Cell Jazz, the Pliny signature guitar or guitars, Alex Makashek signature. Um, so yeah, several models will become quite scarce.
Ola, I think you might have
And I've
frozen again
frozen
on
again.
us.
Yeah, and I don't look happy in this freeze.
Do you want to drop
So,
the call and jump back right in?
yeah, I'll drop one more time and take a few more questions. I'll be right
Sounds
back.
good.
All right. Sorry about that, everyone.
The joys of streaming. Next question here.
Hmm.
Do you think that other companies will follow more ecological pursuits in the musical instrument world?
Um, Probably. And I think in the acoustic guitar manufacturing, it's definitely a reality already. I think companies and players are much more conscious of the ecological aspects of guitar production. So um, yeah, I guess it should just be a matter of time before this whole industry uh, will have to become more aware.
Uh, I might reword this question a bit, but I think they're asking if Strandberg Japan will soon be available worldwide.
Um, yeah, check out our announcements at NAMM. I should be I should be way less transparent sometimes, but yeah, we'll have some Japan news at NAM.
Is Rescued only limited to guitars, or will there also be basses?
Um, I guess, I mean, in theory, we could have anything surface as rescued, including bases. Um, it's been a while since we made any bases, but there will be more coming up. So there hasn't really been any fallout being queued up. So it yeah, as I described before, it is really hard to predict what will surface as rescued because it's literally we try to minimize it, but when we do get it, we try to rescue it. So anything could happen, including nothing, unfortunately. So yeah, we'll see.
Any plans for selling Rescued outside of the EU or US?
Um, well, again, the issue is uh, we don't know when we'll have it, and we don't know how much we will have. So it is hard to. This is not something we plan for, or like can contact our dealers elsewhere and take orders for. So at least at this time, it doesn't like fit into a normal sales model. It's easier to accomplish in our direct sales channels. Um, but yeah, I mean, I understand that there's a need and there's a demand for it elsewhere, obviously, and we'll do what we can to reach as many players as possible, of course.
Do you have plans for any reworked Boden bases in NX specs?
Um, Not NX per se, but let's continue with being awful at keeping secrets. We are working on a standard base, so I'll say no more other than keep your eyes peeled, subscribe to our newsletter. You'll hear more.
Will there ever be any other hardware colors like gold?
Um, I can't say right now. The issue with the hardware colors that we have now, which is anodized aluminum, is that certain high volume colors such as black or natural, which is like the natural aluminum color, those are like kept alive in under controlled conditions at all times with the vendors that provide anodization. When we do other colors, um, it's smaller batches that are mixed on demand for our limited production. And it's very difficult under these conditions to control the exact color. So if we make a batch of purple hardware and we keep some spares of that, and then we want to make another batch of purple, there's no guarantee that those purple will match exactly. So that batch of spare parts that we just ordered, we perhaps cannot use for the second run of purple guitars, unless we're prepared to replace all of the hardware if a single piece breaks. So we want to, uh, and we could, but it would mean uh, just a lot of extra logistics that we don't really have the processes for at the moment to do this consistently and reliably over time. So with the introduction of NX, we made the decision to move away from the colored hardware because previously we had color hardware for the True Temperament models and for the Per Nilsson, the signature Singularity guitars. We moved away from that to all black. But yeah, if we can never crack this, it's something that would be nice and fun for everyone involved, I think. Um, Plating hardware, we could do, you know, nickel and gold, black nickel, etc. finishes. But we kind of, to some extent, we're staying away from that because it also has a higher impact on the environment than anodization. But yeah, it's a lot of variables. So very long response. Maybe there may be, maybe there will be. We'll see. But it's complicated.
Can we get more models with Lundgren pickups?
Yeah, I think so. That's the short answer. We love Lundgren.
Any plans on having a Strandberg guitar with an SSS 3 single coil pickup configuration?
Yeah, I mean it's super easy to do a new pickguard for our classic models and do a three single coil setup. Um, I kind of actually wish we had this in production, or I wish we had a better like offer to you to replace the pickguard with three single coil um, version or something. At the moment, we just refer to Deco Boom for custom pickguards. There are a few other makers out there. That is, I would say, the go-to solution. And please, if you do, uh, put them three like vertical in line with each other because the angle of the bridge matches almost exactly the angle that you would other have from like a straight bridge and angled pickup on a Strat. Because I have seen some people make their own pickguards and they have a slanted bridge pickup, but then there's a slanted bridge, so actually the distance on the bass side is twice what it should be. So if you put the three pickups straight in line with each other, you'll get the perfect relationship between the treble string and bass string in relation to the pickup. Um, so with that said, I mean, that's a super easy and not very expensive solution if you want to accomplish this right away. Um, but yeah, in the future, yeah, it'd be cool if we had a three single coil model. We don't have any plans, but it's definitely something on my radar that would be fun to do.
Are there any Strandberg anniversaries coming up and any models planned for them, much like the gold and silver ones we saw before?
Um, we have a lot of So as I mentioned before, I'm deep into planning like product portfolio coming up. You probably like see the impact of those things early next year. Um, and I do have some ideas. But yeah, I won't say more than that today. We'll see.
Any plans on bringing the Boden DR back?
Um, Good question. Um, the Boden DR was kind of intended to be like a spearhead type model to introduce some new technical concepts. So this was the um, first model to feature the new body carves, the new arm bevel and heel carve that later arrived on the NX line. So if we bring back the Boden DR, it's not we're bringing the DR back, but there might be a release of Boden DR that will be like a vehicle for some new technical feature uh, in the future. So probably yes and no at the same time.
Have you thought about innovating on the acoustic guitar?
Uh, uh, of course, that's all I'll say for today.
Where is the V Boden successor at? Shout out to Oliver in the Spark group.
Ah, yeah. Um, Good question. Um, I don't know exactly what to say, except that uh, we might have some news coming. I should be way more prepared with just no comment answers, but yeah, we'll see. Keep your eyes peeled, I will say again.
How many Strandbergs do you yourself have, and which one of them is your favorite?
Well, would you believe that I don't actively play guitar very much? Every once in a while, I really think that I would like to, but then I end up not doing it. In my house, there is one Strandberg guitar, and it's a gold-colored 10th anniversary um, original original 7 trem, so a pretty rare creature. We didn't make very many original trem guitars, but that guitar is purely eye candy in my living room. It is not played. As far as my favorite, honestly, I think the Boden DR that we brought out, that might have been my favorite. Really liked the way that the mahogany um, works as the body would in our guitars, and that was the first guitar where we used rich light, and I really enjoyed how that worked. Um, but I also I do uh, like the original Bowden original, a little more old school. So the Bowden original is like where it's supposed to be kind of what the brand was about when it was originally invented. So uh, yeah, there's been versions of that. Um, it's probably the favorite.
I think we're getting down to the last few questions here, but we've received about 1,000 questions from people asking about the Varberg. Where's the Varberg at? Where are the Varbergs? Where are we finally producing Varbergs?
Yeah, good question. Um, a couple of years ago, I don't know, was it? Yeah, it's just lost years throughout the pandemic. So I can never think back and say how many years ago something was. But a few years ago, we had samples of a serial production Varberg at NAM. And we kind of on purpose, we didn't make a big deal out of it. We didn't tell anyone. We didn't make any big announcements. We just let them hang there to see what the reaction would be. And there was almost no reaction, which was very disappointing, actually, because I expected what is just now happening. Um, but yeah, so we put the Varberg plans on the back burner. But yeah, there's obviously demand. It's a lovely guitar, and yeah, keep asking for it, and maybe one day it may happen in one way or another. Who knows?
Awesome. I think that probably should do it then for questions.
Cool, great stuff, and we're reasonably at the allotted time slot. Um, I'm sure I've told you too much, and I'm sure I've talked too much, given too long answers, but hopefully you enjoyed it. I had a good time. I think uh, we're pleasantly surprised overall, everyone here at Strandberg, by the reception of this concept. So not just like pink guitars, but it seems like the concept itself was very well received, um, which is great. And I don't think it was purely a matter of a lower price point, although uh, that message is also well received. I've seen a lot of comments on Facebook about um, just the price point or the excuse me, uh, that this would prove that that there's room for I'm sorry, um, room for lower priced Stramber guitars. So that message isn't lost on us either. Um, but anyway, it's been fun. We'll do more of it. We don't know how much more because again, we're literally rescuing fallout from production, and this fallout that we do try to minimize. So it's kind of contradictory that we want to do more, but we don't want to do more because we want to have 100% yield in production eventually. But with that said, I think we can with like future planned product offerings, I think we should be able to accomplish similar things. Um, but yeah, thank you for watching. And if you weren't here in the beginning, I mentioned that we'll have some kind of poll coming up for a future color or a future finish option for a rescued run. So make sure you participate in that, and we can try to democratize this process a little bit, and see if we can come up with something fun. Um, That's all I had. Uh, I do have a note here mention upcoming Strandberg plans. NAM is in what, 3 weeks, roughly. Uh, I don't think anyone knows what this year's NAM will be like because it's if you're watching and you don't know what NAM is, the NAM show is like the big industry event. It's been in early January in California every year for a long time. It's been a few other places, but the NAM that I know and most people think of is in January in Southern California. Um, there was no NAM during the pandemic, obviously. Then it was June last year, which was a lot of the big brands weren't there. I'd be surprised if half the number of attendants were there, but that still means like 60,000 people and 1,000 exhibitors, even if it was just half the normal size. This year in April, who knows? We won't have an actual booth, but we'll be in the Boutique Guitar Showcase, which is a fun place to visit if you love guitars. So that alone should make it worthwhile to visit NAMM if you get the opportunity. Um, but yeah, so next year, 2024, it's supposed to be back in January. So uh, we'll see if we come back with like the normal presence or whatever will happen. We'll see after this. Nah, but we'll try to obviously post some content and maybe do some live streams from the show. So it starts on I think 13th of April, so a few weeks from now. Um, but yeah, I think that's it for me. Thank you very much again for watching, and let us know your thoughts in the comments.